Good morning, I'm Piano Man 1337. This video I've made will hopefully help you to understand the basics of chess, including the pieces, their moves, and some of their special functions, as well as how to actually set up the board. Okay then, here we go. Here we have the rook, or castle. The rook can move in a straight line, up, down, left, or right as far as it wants, or until there is another piece or a wall in its way. Like most of the other pieces, it captures enemy pieces on this path as well. Next up, we have the rook's counterpart, the bishop. Like the rook, the bishop travels in a straight line as far as it wants or is allowed, but it does so on the diagonals. The bishop also captures along these lines. Next, we have that diminutive front man, the pawn. The pawn can move forward one space at a time. Unlike the rest of the pieces, the pawn does not capture on its move space. Instead, it captures on the front diagonals. Now we come to the knight. The knight is possibly the strangest mover, as it moves two spaces in one direction, then one space in another direction. The knight is also able to jump over other pieces in its path. The knight captures on the last space in its moving sequence. Here we have the queen. This is easily the most powerful piece in the game. The queen can move in a straight line in any direction at all for as long as allowed. Like most of the other pieces, it can capture on any space that it moves to. And finally, we come to the king. The king, of course, is the most important piece in the game. The king can move in any direction at all, but only one space at a time. It may capture on these spaces too. So, these are all the pieces. Let's move on to the board. If you have all the pieces to the game, each player should have 8 pawns, 2 knights, 2 rooks, 2 bishops, a queen, and a king. Now, we'll set up the board. In the back corners go the rooks. Next inward are the knights, and then the bishops. In the middle go the king and the queen. The white queen goes on a white space, but the black queen goes on a black space. A helpful way to remember this is queen on her color. In the front row go all the pawns. After you've done this, set up the opposite side. Now that you can set up the board and know the basic movements of the pieces, we'll move on to some of the specialties. Pawns have multiple specialties. On a pawn's first move, it may move 2 spaces instead of the usual 1. Also, if a pawn reaches the opposite wall, it may be traded in for any piece of that color that was already captured. This is called promotion. When an opponent's king is in range of one of your pieces, the king is in check. The king must be removed from danger on the opponent's next turn. If the opponent fails to move their king on their next turn, you may capture the king, and the game will be over. If an opponent's king is in range of one of your pieces, but is trapped or cannot immediately move out of danger, you call checkmate, and the game is over. I hope that this tutorial has helped you learn the game of chess. If you have questions or comments, leave them in the comments section. If you liked the video and want to see more of me, click the link or just subscribe. Thanks for watching.